Hi, John. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So today marks first ever kickoff of my gratitude series as the new Chief Customer Officer. I've really been just floored having a lot of great dialogue with customers like yourself who are just making an impact in the world, John. And your story and the rapid growth that ENTA has been going through really stood out to me. And I just wanted to take a minute, John, to share your story with the rest of our customers and really the world. You guys are doing some tremendous things at a rapid pace in a really tough environment. You know, as the Senior Director of Procurement and Call Center Operations, I know that recent times probably, introduced some nuances and challenges. So I thought maybe we could kind of start there today and just talk a little bit about, first, what is ENTA and your role? And then let's dive into some of the waters you've been navigating recently.
Sure, thank you. ENT Allergy is a specialist in ear, nose, throat, and allergy. We are located in the New York metropolitan area, and we have 45 locations, and we have 226 doctors. We're averaging about 40,000 calls a week, and I've been with the company almost 9 years. Prior to that, I worked in the UK and Hong Kong, working in other call centers.
That's awesome. I don't think folks really realize how technically deep call center management can get, and also just how many moving parts there are. I'd love to just hear from you with all your call center experience. You have a brilliant background. How has RingCentral played a part in really helping you innovate and drive for future?
Thank you. Yeah, I think, prior to COVID, we were using an Avaya phone system, and we had all our staff located at a head office. And, there were some limitations with that. Some of the issues that we had were skill set routing, pushing calls to specific agents and really kind of trying to affect our service levels, average handle time, wait times, etc. But we kind of muddled through that. But then, kind of out of the ashes, terrible time, COVID, we're in New York, kind of hit us really, really hard. We had looked at RingCentral prior as an option for us, but I think that COVID kind of accelerated that. And we kind of pulled the trigger pretty quickly. And one of the great things about moving to RingCentral was the ability to transition very, very quickly. We used the Office version first to get up and running. And we were up and running, honestly, in a couple of days while we transitioned to the call center version. But the key to moving to RingCentral was the ability to take my workforce and go remote. We didn't lose any time whatsoever. Maybe a couple of hours when we flipped the switch from Avaya to RingCentral. We were up and running, and we had, like I mentioned, cornered the market on Chromebooks. We purchased as many as we could. We utilized some USB adapters that we purchased off Amazon so we could use our headphones. And we shipped our laptops to our staff who were working remotely. And they were, with simple Wi-Fi connection up and running. The training was very straightforward. I can't really say enough about, the whole transition over. It was just so smooth. Most of our employees are somewhat tech savvy. If you're able to open up a web browser, if you have a cell phone and you can launch the phone app, you can basically take phone calls for ENT and allergy. And that's what happened for us. And I think that's the defining moment for us was moving from office-based to remote with really minimal downtime whatsoever.
I love that. And I think you unpacked it beautifully. A lot of people think, in this environment that they just need dial tone. But when running a call center, it's so much more than dial tone, right? And we know that firsthand because we live it every day. It's dial tone. It's having the skills-based routing. It's getting the right callers in the right hands at the right time to really serve your customers the best way possible. I'm really thrilled to hear that your customers weren't impacted in all the change and that you guys were able to, really pull that off. That's a huge congratulations to you, John, and to your entire team. It takes a lot of work and just, the right aptitude and mindset to move as quickly and swiftly as you did. And for good reason. I'm in the healthcare industry. You don't want to miss a beat for your customers. They're very precious. So congrats. It's really huge. Tell me a little bit about pre-COVID. What was your world like? Your call center was running on an Avaya system, you mentioned. What other types of applications were you using then, and has that changed now?
Yes, it has, Faiza. I think pre-COVID we were using a scheduling system called NextGen, it's a very robust system. It has a steep learning curve. But it's very, very efficient. It checks all the boxes. It's one of the leading, healthcare scheduling products out there. But the learning curve was steep. Training was intense. We had Avaya. It was okay. It served a purpose. It allowed us to answer phone calls, had dashboards, great. But the problem was, I knew who my top performers were, and the skill set routing really wasn't working. So the calls were getting pushed to basically everybody. And whilst they were being answered, I couldn't really impact, for example, who should get appointment calls, who should get new patient appointment calls, and who should get, prescription calls and so forth. So, my kind of service levels were okay. They weren't great, but they weren't bad either. The average handle time was okay. But I couldn't really move the goalpost. I just couldn't use the software that was available with Avaya to change or impact very much. So COVID came along, as I mentioned, we moved to RingCentral. Out of the box, it just came with everything that we wanted: dashboards, reporting, phone, messaging, video. But the key for us was the skill set routing, because now, where I was traditionally looking at, for example, who should get the call based on the historical performance, now I'm letting the data tell me who should answer the phone call first. So if Sally was great at new patient calls but slower at appointment calls, then I should push new patient calls to Sally first, and vice versa. So instantly, when I got my hands around all of that, within 6 months, I'd reduced my average handle time by 30%. So
wow, that is a terrific move of the needle. As a fellow call center leader, I can tell you that's moving some moderate-sized mountains there. Exactly.
And if you're in the call center industry, you know that any kind of positive change with service levels, wait times, abandonment rates, average handle time, etc., means that your staff can actually be more productive. And our callers, patients in this case, do not have to wait too long. They get through to an agent, but also to an agent that's knowledgeable about why they're calling. If you have a patient that needs to fill out a prescription, you should be speaking to an agent that's an expert in filling out prescriptions, not somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing. So, the patient engagement goes through the roof as well. And I think that's something that is, sometimes lost,
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on also using messaging and video. Tell me a little bit about how you're leveraging those technologies with patients or internally, or both.
So actually, video we actually use for training. We built a whole bunch of modules using Camtasia, and obviously with a remote workforce, if somebody's joining a company living in Florida, they're going to be trained remotely. And as I mentioned, they get laptops and so forth, and they all have built-in cameras. So we designed a training program using RingCentral video, and it works an absolute treat. They're recorded, so we can use it for, recap purposes. But so we love the video. We also took the video to a different level. We also have happy hour video chats with our staff, especially our new hires, who, because they work remotely, don't really know anybody. Everybody's a name, So we have happy hour. We keep them on the clock, and we have a themed happy hour once a month with new hires. It could be travel, food and wine, sports, movies. And everybody gets to introduce themselves. And our staff absolutely love that. You know, we have it capped to about 10 people. So that's how we use video. We use it for training and some creative reasons. But I think the thing that we use the most that's really transitioned us is the GLIP. The GLIP, the messaging is fantastic because, as you know, it works on a PC, a laptop, a tablet, cell phone, you name it. But we actually re-engineered the GLIP to create a help desk for our call center staff that work remotely. So we created chat rooms for specific call types, prescription, audio, allergy, insurance. So if you have an agent that's coming out of training, lives in North Carolina, has a question about insurance, the last thing I want to do is put that patient on hold, having to try to reach somebody at our head office and keep that patient on hold when, in fact, what they're doing now is they're going into the insurance chat group where I have experienced staff managing. Hey, I have this patient on the phone that has a question about their insurance. Can you help me? And instantly the person's replying back saying, yep, check this, check that. If they check out to be good, then you're good to go. So within a few seconds, the agent is back on the phone with the patient, solving that phone call. So the chat feature, which is now AKA the help desk, has really changed things for us because now I can service my patients indirectly through my agents much quicker.
I love that. That is such a unique application for the messaging platform. You know, you're using all of our services. We call it MVP, message, video, phone, but you're also using our contact center application. So you're using the full suite of services and often in very unique ways. Are you leveraging any integrations yet today, John?
Yes. So we have our own, I mentioned that we use NextGen, but our agents actually use a in-house built scheduling tool. It's essentially our website that's on steroids. It has all the doctor's rules built in. As I mentioned, we have 226 doctors, you know, and there has to be rules, you know, there have to be careful scheduling. So we built our website on a new platform with all the rules built in so that the learning curve just comes way down. Our agents don't have to spend weeks learning NextGen. They can, if you know how to book an appointment online using a website, if you know how to sign up and buy something on Amazon, then you can book an ENT and allergy. So the learning curve is much less. And we've leveraged RingCentral because we're bringing in technology, for example, that if a patient calls up and their phone number is in our database, it pops up on the screen in our quick app using the the RingCentral technology to identify that patient. What that basically means is the patient is identifying themselves. I obviously have a lot more information up front, which lowers the average handle time, makes my agents a lot more knowledgeable because I have information about previous appointments, upcoming appointments, insurance information, chart information, alert information, you name it. And I think that the engagement is better, the experience is better, and ultimately, you know, we can make that appointment much faster. And of course, as we'll talk about, I'm sure, again, the wait time goes down.
Yeah, I love it. That's brilliant. It's great. I really always encourage customers to leverage integrations. The more, you know, our success is predicated on your success. And your success is the only thing we as a company should be focused on at RingCentral. And it is. It's our North Star. Your success, though, is predicated on your employees as well and how successful and productive they can be. And I find, you know, even within my own call center, that the integrations have really kept my employees built for speed. It makes it frictionless. Everything's kind of in one place at their fingertips. They're not having to switch through so many apps. And, you know, it gives us an edge, right? Because we can provide the best service to our customers. And I love hearing stories about how our customers are providing world-class service to their customers. It's really, at the end of the day, what we should all be focused on is our customers. So thank you for sharing that. What kind of volume, John, are you guys handling per week in your call centers?
We're averaging between 35 and 40,000 calls a week. I would say 55% of those calls are appointments. 15% of those are new patients calling. Of the non-appointment calls, it could be a variety of calls. It could be prescription refills. It could be, medical records. I'm running late, and so forth. So it's quite a wide variety. I think we're averaging about, forgive my math, I'm doing my head math really, really quickly, 1.8 million calls a year. We have 155 full-time agents, and then we have a support team of about 30 on our operations department that are just doing quality control. We have our own training department in the call center as well. So it's kind of like its own little island within the organization. And everybody's on RingCentral. Yeah.
That's great. You guys have been on a rise with rapid growth. First off, congratulations. It's so cool to see our customers soar in growth, especially customers that are doing meaningful work like ENTA. Tell me, are you guys adding more locations? What's ahead for ENTA?
I think it's very exciting for ENT and allergy. We even during COVID, we added a couple of new locations. We're onboarding doctors all the time. We have a couple of doctors joining later this year, and scheduled for next year a lot of new doctors and potentially some new locations. We're in a metropolitan area. It's very densely populated, and there's lots of pockets for us to explore in terms of providing an ENT footprint for our patients. We like to give our patients easy access, to our locations. We're in New York and New Jersey, and there's always, an ENT within 15, 20 minutes of wherever you live, and we kind of like that. We haven't gone kind of national because we felt that we wanted to give easy access, like I said, to our patients. And I feel that over the next 3 or 4 years we'll be definitely adding a lot of new locations, and plenty of new doctors. One of the kind of models that we adapt is there might be 2 smaller locations within half an hour of each other, and we might actually close those 2 locations and make like a super office where each small location may have had 3 doctors. But in the super location, like the mega store kind of thing, we might add those 6 doctors, but add 4 more, so we'll go to 10. So we might close 2 offices, but might make 1 new office that will generate, 2 to 3 times more patient volume. And looking at, things like public transportation, parking, because we have a variety of patients, young and old. So we want to make sure that we have plenty of parking, easy access to public transportation, highways and so forth. So we're very careful in where we put our locations. It's all about the patient. That's all we care about. It's all about the patient, not just how to reach an agent to make an appointment, but once they've left the call center, how they get to the office and how they're managed at the clinical office as well.
I think that's fantastic. I, of course, would be remiss if I didn't ask a very important question, hearing this amazing, trajectory ahead. How can RingCentral help you? Like, how can we be, a trusted partner through this journey, right? As you're opening new offices, maybe condensing and combining 2 to make larger offices. What can we do to help you as you navigate through that?
Well, I think for us, definitely it's been a fantastic relationship. And I think that's been, the foundation of RingCentral and ENT and allergy. And I think that when we came on board, we used, the voice, the voice, video, and messaging. But we've taken other modules from RingCentral. So we've been adding workforce management, we're adding feedback management. So now we're going to actually take all those patient experiences and forecast our staffing better with workforce management. We're going to get feedback from the surveys that we're sending out. We're bringing that information into the analytics, okay, so that we have this kind of 360 review of every single call that we can take to our agents and make them better. So I think that growing with RingCentral and adding new features that you guys are bringing on board is really going to kind of complete, the entire ENT RingCentral relationship. So I'm actually really excited about the future. And I believe, workforce management is actually going to be going live in November. So we're very excited about that. And then feedback management is going to go live in December. So this year is going to be a fantastic year for ENT and Allergy and RingCentral.
I'm looking forward to it, John. This session was just all about hearing and learning about you, a valued customer that's making a tremendous impact in the world, but also you, John, as the Senior Director of Procurement and Call Center Operations. It's not an easy job. I myself have been in the call center world for many, many years. There's so many moving parts. So, again, just wanted to spend some time with you to elevate your story, learn from you, learn how we can better serve you. But most importantly, John, I want to thank you and the entire ENTA team for trusting us with your business. It's a very special one, serving patients and all over New York and New Jersey. It's amazing what you guys are doing out there, and it means a lot to us that you trust us with that. So today was really about me taking some time to thank a valued customer just for entrusting us with your business and your patient's livelihood.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.